Hey everybody, welcome back to the latest episode of Kicks Over Coffee, where we talk about kicks over coffee. It's an innovative name that we have for this program. I'm excited to have Katie O'Hara with us today. She's the Director of Account Management at Dynamic Foam. If you've been to our Sustainability Summit or other events, you've probably met Katie, but Dynamic Foam is one of our sustainability partners this year and has contributed funds and resources to help us run our sustainability program to help brands do strategy a little bit better about what their targets are and how to get there. But also Dynamic Foam is doing a lot of work around sustainable product. And so I'm glad to have you on today, Katie. I hope you're doing well.
Yes, thanks for having me. We've loved being a part of the FDRA. It's definitely been worth it for us, just as a great resource all around. So thanks
Awesome.
for having me.
Yeah, so Dynamic Foam is in Denver area, Colorado.
Yeah, Steamboat Springs. So it's about 3 hours from Denver, up in the mountains, little ski town. So we're pretty lucky to have a little enclave of outdoor industry up here. So it's been really great working with DFP for the past 8 years now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So in my last sustainability newsletter, we put out something around the FTC is starting to look at how we revise the green guides for recycled, for how we talk to consumers about it, but also we also noted that there was a sting operation by Reuters where they found people were claiming that they were recycling shoes when in actuality it was going out to a flea market for resale. And there became this, this big outcry over what is actually recycled and how like the chain of custody, right? How are we keeping control of that? And lo and behold, I saw you guys are putting out stuff around basically truth and recycled product, right? Like just being honest about it and branding it that way. So I want to start with that as, why, I think I know why you're branding it that way, because, we're getting towards that traceability and the visibility thing, but I'm sure you saw that too. And so maybe just tell me really quickly about that kind of new push with the honest recycled kind of certification you guys are looking at.
Yeah, sure. I mean, way to pick up on that. We kind of got to the point where we're sort of like, dancing around the issue a little bit, trying to promote, the recycled products that we have. But, it's so hard with all the greenwashing out there and just really trying to get our point across in like a direct way. So that's kind of how we move towards this real recycled GRS certified. Like we were just trying to do everything right. And, I've learned a lot over the last probably 5 years with the help of the FDRA and, that sustainability summit presentation that we had around greenwashing. I think that was eye-opening for everyone that was there. You just have to be really careful. And so I think if we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's and getting that message out there at the same time that we are doing that, we do have the whole supply chain mapped out. There is that traceability. So, I mean, it's certainly been a challenge and it's a lot of work, but I think in the end it's worth it, especially for our brand partners to have that reassurance, like, hey, we know exactly where this stuff is coming from. We know that it is recycled, that it is a better alternative to what the industry's been using forever. So I'm hoping that the message is getting across, because I know, there are certainly a lot of companies are out there doing great things and making great new, more sustainable products. But I think everyone needs to get to that level where we can compare apples to apples and everything's certified and traceable.
Yep, real recycled. Awesome. Let's talk really quickly about, you guys are doing both recycled and bio. So I want to get into some of that product mix and talk a little bit about that. But where are we at with, and this is always the key of, well, if I'm going to move my material from what our traditional materials are to this bio-based foam or this recycled foam, like, is the performance going to degrade faster? Is it going to keep up? And then is it going to cost me more? So what are you seeing, in terms of over the last 12 months and then looking ahead in 12, are we getting better performance, or is the cost getting a little bit more affordable?
Yeah, I would say so. I know that's always the challenge with brands, like balancing those three things, really: sustainability, cost, and performance. So I think what our company's tried to do, and I've seen other people do this, is sort of offer different levels. So if you are a performance running shoe and you really can't give up your compression set or your resilience or, certain specs, we have something for you. It might not be 100% recycled, but there's that balance. And then I can speak to us, for us specifically, our recycled material, the more recycled it is, the lower cost it is. So it's sort of like inverse of what a lot of people think of. Like they think they're going to be paying more for recycled. Once we add that bio in, it sort of counteracts the cost savings from the recycled, but you're still sort of getting the best of both worlds.
Yeah, that's how you get the mix, right? You get a little bit more
Right.
than you normally would.
Yeah, so that's really been our goal, is to help brands. We have a couple big brand partners that they have these specifications. So we've kind of taken those and developed product around it in hopes of sort of like checking everyone's boxes.
Yeah, great. Let's talk a little bit about strategy too, because I think that, you were talking a little bit about it there, but brands are, the conversation we're having right now, if we had the same conversation 3 years ago, we would just be talking about what sustainability is, right? It's kind of this abstract term and just trying to get on the same page. And now the industry is doing really well, but starting to set targets and goals and trying to find their way forward and actually do things rather than think about think about their strategy and all. But when you see that and you think about what you guys are working on, what you hear from your brands, I also saw that you guys are hitting some of our green North Star targets on our environmentally preferred guide on the shoe sustainability site. So I want to ask you about that in particular, about how folks are looking at that guide or have their own internal guides now. Are you starting to see that more and more, where brands kind of know what they want and they're communicating with you a lot better around what they need?
Oh, certainly. Especially, over the last year or two, it's definitely gotten better. We had a meeting just the other day with a brand that is using the FDRA EPM guide as that's their guide, which is really cool to see, and of course they were going towards the North Star goals and not, they know that it's out there. So they were really excited to try to hit some of those on even as soon as spring 24 development. So that was awesome to see. I was like, it's such a great resource for people. And we try to put it out there to our customers all the time. Because not even just for foams, but for all of the other materials that go into their shoes. So yeah, you're right. Certainly seen a great improvement of that being a big goal for people. You still run into, the cost people and the performance people. But certainly sustainability has become more of a forefront in a lot of our conversations.
Yeah, and I know you were just at the material show. How was the show, and is that the same conversation that you were having? Like, is it, that people are talking about the targets and the goals and things like that?
Yeah, the show is great. Great turnout, super steady. We just went to the Northwest. Definitely want to get to that Northeast show as well. But certainly in the Northwest show, tons of buzz around sustainability. There are a lot of people doing really cool, great things. But people were seeking it out for sure, even more than I would say the last show. These brands are realizing that they have options. It's like you have a sustainable materials director whose sole purpose is to go out and seek new materials. And when they see something, when they see a company that can meet those sustainability goals, but then also give them performance, that makes a change so much easier. Which I know we had this conversation at the summit last year. It's like, what action are we taking here? Like, we can sit here and talk about it all day long, but if brands can start taking these steps and the materials are getting better and better, then you try to make it a no-brainer for them.
Yeah, so let's get into that then. Tell me about your recycled EVA. And this is post-consumer, I think. Maybe you can explain a little bit about, first of all, what's the difference between, because this is the whole recycling thing with the FTC. It's like, is it post-industrial? Is it post-consumer? Is it, so I think there's some questions around that, but, maybe you can explain how it's made, some of the percentages that you guys are using in foams that can get that performance.
Sure. Yeah. And that was a conversation I had a lot at the show. It's just, you see the word recycled, but there is a huge difference. So in the footwear industry, we see a lot of post-industrial waste being used, which is great because you're still keeping that out of the landfill. But we start with a post-consumer recycled EVA. So it's actually greenhouse film, which who knew is made out of EVA, out of South Korea primarily. So they have to replace those greenhouse film sheets every so often, once or twice a year. All those sheets just end up in these huge piles that, could go to the landfill. But we've found a way to just melt them down, pelletize them, add foaming agents, things like that, to just spit out a recycled EVA. And we've had brands that have been using it for years. So I feel like we've proven out that it's durable, which is also a huge part of sustainability. It meets our SL requirements. Like we've proven it out to be a really great product. So we've been working with that base recycled EVA and then just sort of like tweaking it ever since. It's like every year we come out with a new formulation that hopefully works for new brands, and then hits those marks, like you said.
Yeah. And is that where like lab science is, where it's constantly trying to look at the chemistry and the makeup of the materials to make them a little bit better, a little bit more durable? So every year we see a little bit of that lab work creep into the actual products.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's been really cool. We sort of give these targets and, trial and error really to a certain extent. So I'm really excited about the sort of mix of formulations that we have. It's like we have a 50%, a 70%, 100% of the EVA content being recycled in these foams. And, it's like your weight by volume of a shoe, the EVA can be a huge part of it. So that's like a big part of your sustainability story, is having a recycled EVA midsole. That's a huge chunk of your shoe. Yeah. So that really helps brands, reach those goals as far as like a full shoe goes.
And we've always said like that's the hardest part, is like the foam midsole outsole area, right? Like the upper is difficult, but there's a lot of different applications for that. But when you're stepping on something as much as you are and compressing it, to me it sounds like you guys are like the Chipotle of EVA, where you're basically saying, okay, how much % do you need, and how much, and like let's like dabble with this and move it and like help the brand like figure out what that perfect burrito is for the midsole of.
Yep. I like that analogy. You want to add guacamole?
Absolutely. Why not? Let's
algae content.
Just throw some green color in. Yeah. Cinco de Mayo is coming up. Let's get ready. You guys have also been working with bio-based materials, and you've been combining those. So this is interesting. We're getting to the point where we're seeing recycled content mixed in with biomaterial for kind of a hybrid EVA. What is that? Explain to me what that is, and like, what is it? The same performance, same cost, or is it a different matrix?
Yeah, I would say it's slightly different. We developed it in conjunction with Bloom for customers that, maybe they're not all in on either recycled or bio, or they just like having the best of both worlds kind of thing. Compared to our regular recycled EVA, it is going to be a little bit higher cost. And then performance, we did the same kind of thing where we have 3 levels. One's going to be less recycled, less algae, but higher performance. So it's just sort of like adjusting those dials. And I think a lot of companies do this. There's going to be sacrifices here and there. But I think brands just need to really prioritize and find that balance that works for them and their customer.
Well, we always say, like, if you're wearing brunch shoes, you can do a lot more with bio and recycled. If you're running a marathon, it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard. It's not there yet. I mean, you guys are working really hard to get us there, and other great companies, but we're just not there yet. So we take what we can get on cost and on performance and on sustainability, and we take it for the season we got, and then we look at the next season and say, okay, let's try a little bit better next season.
Do better. Yep. And maybe it's an insole instead of a midsole if you need that higher performance. You can get some of that extra rebound out of your midsole and maybe sacrifice a little on the insole. But to be honest, especially on insoles, we can pretty much hit anything with one of our formulations. So it's kind of nice. We're kind of lucky in that way. Yeah. We don't have to say no a lot.
That's nice. Yeah. You guys are also doing some bio rubber. So not just the hybrid EVAs, but you're doing recycled and bio rubber. I had a great conversation with a company that's trying to look more at regenerative rubber and more sustainable rubber. So that's starting to come up, and you guys have already been working on that. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so actually Bloom has had a rubber compound for quite some time, but it was mixed with virgin rubber. So we just, along our path of development, that we kind of got to that point where we're like, okay, we think we're good with the EVAs for now. Let's do something else. So we found a recycled rubber supplier, and it's recycled car tires, which I mean is just such a dirty industry. So if we can find a way to reuse them, great. So we were able to develop 50% recycled rubber with that algae in there as well. So that's more of like a lifestyle application at this point. Again, you're not going to be running a marathon in this shoe, but it's a step in the right direction for sure. And we've had really good responses to it. Actually, I was kind of shocked. Rubber is kind of new for us, so but we're gonna keep developing and keep improving it. So
That's awesome. And folks, if you want to talk to Katie, I encourage you to, if any of this is curious to you, like reach out to her and she can do some product demos and talk to you about what they're doing more in depth on all of this. But this has been a great conversation just on, I feel like 2023 is already better than 2022 when we were at just better strategy, better, actually execution. And I would be remiss if we didn't talk about a cup of coffee before we go, because that's my MO on this show. Katie, let me ask you, St. Patty's Day is just days away. If you're watching after St. Patty's Day, I hope you had a great St. Patty's Day. But maybe there's an Irish coffee we should talk about for St. Patty's Day,
We absolutely should. There's a restaurant called O'Neill's here in town that probably makes the best one I've had.
Really?
Yep. So you've inspired me. I'm gonna have to go down there and get one of those on Friday evening.
Oh, there you go. Well, I promise there's nothing Irish about this coffee. It's just straight black. Maybe I'll have some Irish coffee later tonight. But I've got a few more hours to put in today before I get too Irish. But Katie, as always, thank you for coming on today and appreciate your support through this year. And again, folks, if any of this is curious to you, or you're interested in learning more about what Dynamic Foam is doing and producing and how they can help you, you can reach out to Katie on, I'm sure, obviously on LinkedIn, but if you just want to contact me, I'm happy to connect you and facilitate a conversation like that. But Katie, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Andy.
All right, folks, as always, thank you. This has been Kicks Over Coffee. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you have any ideas on guests that you would like to hear on this, or you have a perspective on something, drop us a line and let us know. We're happy to have conversations to strengthen the footwear industry and get a little caffeinated at the same time. So thanks for that. Until next time, keep drinking coffee, keep wearing kicks.